Fox 5 and Hot 97 present Street Soldiers with Lisa Evers.
I'm so glad you're joining us for this episode of Street Soldiers on social media and shopping. Some people say social media is much more about shopping than the social networking that is at its core. But as we found out, there's some strong reasons for that. It took many hours and several years, but one viral video changed the life of Brittany Rose. Her videos making homemade hair care products for black girls and women in her own kitchen garnered millions of views. She became so successful she left medical school behind to devote herself full-time to running her growing business.
I'm in a tax bracket I never thought I would. I moved to a completely new city with a very nice place. I have so many connections and just a success in a career that I actually love and enjoy and I'm passionate about. And I'm just very blessed. I thank God that that's something that I am able to do and experience. And I'm only 24.
There's a reason they're called social media influencers. Some of them become famous through their posts like Brittany Rose. Others who already have big names turn to social media platforms to push products based on their popularity. It's an effective tool, says New York Post lifestyle reporter Asia Grace.
Celebrities absolutely they move the needle when it comes to social media. They are definitely who we are looking to see, should I do my hair like this? Oh wait, she had those shoes. Oh wait, I gotta have this outfit on. Oh wait, my kid likes this toy because her kid likes that toy.
University of Michigan marketing professor Dr. Marcus Collins says social media has some unique properties that make it fertile ground for buying and selling. It's responsive to shifts in taste and has an immediacy that can make people feel like they must have the item right away.
Social media is perfect for shopping because it allows us to observe our people like us. And there's no external force more influential to us than us. By observing people who we call our friends or families or coworkers, the people that we aspire to be.
Let's get right to it with our panel. Joining us for this conversation, Dr. Marcus Collins. He's a University of Michigan clinical marketing professor and the author of the book For the Culture. Marcus, thank you so much for being with us again. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Thank you. And also making her Street Soldiers debut, Brittany Rose. She's an entrepreneur and social media influencer. Brittany, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
We appreciate it. And also joining us is Asia Grace. She is a New York Post lifestyle reporter. Asia, great to have you back with us.
No place I'd rather be.
Okay, thank you so much. Marcus, in terms of the way social media is now being used for shopping and selling products, has it grown as much as it seems to have?
I think it's grown more than we thought it would have been 10 years ago. The notion of buying things on social networking platforms seemed almost asinine to even think that would be a reality. But I think platforms and content creators alike have realized that people get cues from their people with regards to what they should be watching, what they should be listening to, and ultimately what they should be wearing, what they should be drinking, what they should be eating. So because this platform becomes a way by which we can observe our people, that it makes itself, it makes it a very seamless next step that this would be a place for commerce also. Platforms like Pinterest are probably kind of early to this, realizing that people were curating their interests on Pinterest with consumption sort of in mind already.
Right.
And so it became a very easy turn of the page to enable transactions in a seamless way. So I would say 10 years ago, we didn't think this would be as possible as it is, but now it's quite commonplace.
Asia, in terms of the celebrity factor and those who've made it big on social media, in terms of selling products or endorsing, I mean, we've seen celebrities have endorsed products forever, even way before social media. But what do you see happening now as you look around this whole celebrity landscape?
Well, social media has definitely evolved. It went from keeping up with old friends and family on Instagram and Facebook to keeping up with the Kardashians to now keeping up with an 18-year-old lifestyle influencer with 8.9 million followers and a BBL. Like, this thing has gone out of hand. So the celebrity, as much as their face and their name attached to a product or an outfit or a brand is important, now social media is breeding its own ambassadors. TikTok stars are now, in addition to coming up with whatever it is they're promoting, they're becoming their own star. The ones with millions and millions of followers, the ones with mass influence, the ones that have, presence on multiple platforms, they're now becoming their social media celebrities that we didn't have, decades past. So the celebrities definitely do have their place. I mean, my girl Hailey Bieber cannot sneeze in a tissue without 45 million girls finding that exact brand of tissue, the color of lipstick that she used while puckering to sneeze, and the brand of dust that was in the air that made her sneeze. They all want what she has. Selena Gomez, Cardi B, Lori Harvey, with guys, Cristiano Ronaldo. So many celebrities are out there, and they're definitely drawing the eyes, absolutely. But it's very interesting to see how TikTok and Instagram and YouTube stars are also now becoming the promoters of the items that they're promoting, they're selling.
Exactly. Brittany, you are one of the influencers that you started your own brand, and tell us how that came about. And congratulations on all the success, by the way. Really.
Thank you. So I actually never intended to have a business, funny enough. I actually was on social media for about 2 or 3 weeks. In January 2021 was my first viral video of one of the hair products that I have on my website. Got like 4.5 million views, and I never intended to sell it, but for months on end, I kept gaining like 70, 80, 90,000 followers on TikTok, and people asked me to sell it. And so I started selling it, and I made a couple hundred. They sold out within minutes. And so for the next 2 years, I've just been growing my business as I've been growing social media. And so honestly, it's just really about the audience that I have and them seeing me and my journey, and they can see the authenticity because they can see me behind the business that I feel like has really helped me become successful.
So now are you full-time running your business, or what's going on?
Yes, I full-time run a natural rose. We recently have just moved from me making the products myself and packaging the orders to actually having a professional manufacturer. So we're coming out with a full line that's exciting. And also I'm now a full-time influencer with like 7 social media platforms all combined. So it's definitely crazy.
Asia, in terms of Brittany's story, people look at that and that's what everybody's aspiring to. Let's get millions of followers. Let's get the brand out there. How hard is that to do?
Well, I ran my own business prior to working for the Post, so I understand that it can be very difficult to, create that space for yourself. Social media is extremely cluttered, and there are people like Brittany who are successful, and they have those viral hits where they put the video up and all of a sudden they become an overnight success and a phenomenon. But there's very few that really have that. So people need to realize that when you're on social media, whether you're shopping or whether you're selling, there's going to be constant product promotion. Like you're constantly either being pumped to buy something, primed to buy something, or as a seller, you're always having to put something out. You always have to keep your product in the forefront of everyone's mind.
Brittany, what about that? Like a nonstop lifestyle for you? Because this is happening, this is like basically like 3 years.
Yeah, so it's definitely been a journey, especially because with a natural rose, I used to do a lot of my marketing and promotion just on my personal pages. And then I realized it's more efficient and more effective to have more social media platforms. So now I have 2 TikToks, 2 Instagrams, 2 YouTubes, and a Facebook that I have to be posting on every other day. So it's definitely a lot. But I have learned that it is extremely beneficial to be consistent on social media. It's extremely beneficial to learn about social media. And like Asia was saying, with constantly pumping things out, that's really how the algorithm works. Like you can go on TikTok, and if you see a video of a viral jumpsuit and you like it, TikTok's going to keep showing you that video over and over and over again. And then what I found is when you buy it, because I'm an impulse buyer, when you buy it, you end up not seeing it anymore. So it's definitely very strategic. So.
Oh, wow. Marcus, what about that? The psychology of shopping on social media?
What we find in social networking platforms that they are extensions of our real life social networks. And in this way, we're able to see our people engage, and we go, oh, I guess people like me do something like this, and therefore I'm inclined to do it. I'm inclined to buy it. And if there's a moment of truth that's enabled for me, that is, the technology facilitates the ability to buy right now through an impulse way. I mean, I did really put it like, we're all impulse buyers, right? Like remove points of friction and I'm going to buy, right? Amazon knows this very, very well.
Right, like they have your credit card, they have your shipping address, they have all of that right there. You don't have to type it in every single time.
That's right. They're the one-click buy that you say, buy right now. There's no other steps, buy right now. Even on your iPad, there's the swipe to buy right now. They actually patent that technology. So the technology is designed to make the consumption process very slippery, very lubricated. And we have these psychological things that that are contributing to it, that we want to be like our people, and observing them and providing a very slippery way for us to consume makes for very, very able consumers.
Asia, are there certain things that you think do better than others?
Well, of course, there's always going to be like the Stanley Cup, the Skims Kardashian, the Kim Kardashian brand of Skims, her outfits are, things that are going to make your life easier. But what I've noticed that the things that really go viral and take off are like the uglier, like off-center things, because it's kind of like this, I don't want to miss out on this moment, this trend. Like if you think about those really ugly red cartoon like Super Mario boots that went viral earlier this year, they went like for like $350 and everybody had to have them, every rapper and their baby mamas had them. But it's like that had a moment and it came and it went, but they go viral so quickly because it's so outlandish. It's like we're trying to find our own voice, if you will, in this sea of one voice. Like we're all kind of beating to the same drum, and that drum is being orchestrated by these social media algorithms telling us you better have, you better buy, you better grab, you better shop. So we're just on this constant, merry-go-round of things to buy. But of course, again, the celebrity brands are always going to be king. Anything with a name attached to it is going, or anything that a celebrity is pumping.
Brittany, tell us a little bit more about your journey as an entrepreneur. Like how tough was that to go from doing it in your kitchen to actually getting a factory or place that they're a manufacturing spot? How did that happen?
So at first I was actually in medical school. So when I started my business, yes. So that I had planned to be a doctor, but clearly that did not happen. But so during that time, I would just be in my little apartment, making my stuff, like $300-400 a month. I would sell out within 3 days, and then the next month I would do it whenever I had time. So it's just kind of like a 1 to 3 days out of the month thing. And then once I decided to leave med school to pursue my business full time, I went into full stop. I expanded my line to a couple more products, and I saw the videos of me, making and doing all that. That was kind of my life for a year, but it just got to the point where I was making like hundreds, sometimes thousands of products a month by myself, and then packaging that same amount of orders.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, I have to do something different, because we would always sell out. And so that's when I moved to Atlanta, got a manufacturer, got a warehouse with a packaging team, to where like now we can do 3, 4, 5,000 orders a month, and it's not all on me. So
I love this story so much. I mean, every time you talk, I'm like, oh, this is so amazing. What I think is so cool about that is that, again, it is evidencing what technology is supposed to do. It's supposed to create opportunity. And for some people, the only option they have for social mobility is to be a doctor, or a lawyer, or an engineer, right? And Brittany's on the road to be a doctor. And here is a new platform that wasn't available to us 20 years ago, 30 years ago, to completely change her life, right? To give her options that typically have only been reserved for people of privilege. Right. Like that's the power of the technology.
Asia, we've seen a lot of social media celebrities and that have emerged in their early 20s making a lot of money.
Absolutely. I mean, social media is king. Video is king. Now that we can actually show ourselves, as Brittany mentioned, making the product or trying on the dress or doing the hair or cooking the whatever it might be, it's definitely moved the needle for a lot of people. It's opened up doors. It's given people voices and platforms that we didn't ever expect to have. And it's been a blessing for a lot of disenfranchised groups, a lot of minority groups. And just going back to Marcus's point earlier about the psychology, we also have to mention that we're seeing these celebrities, as you mentioned, Lisa, being tagged. They're tagging their stylists and the shoes and the this and the that and the
right.
So social media has driven us so much that we've made knockoffs cool again, where before, several years ago, you couldn't wear a knockoff without getting trashed. And now dupes is how we've rebranded knockoffs, because we want to look like that Kim K. We want to look like Lori Harvey. We want to look like, Selena Gomez so badly. We might not be able to get the Prada shirt they have, but we can get the Prada shirt that, someone is selling on Amazon. So the psychology is really incredible. On in addition to the benefit there is, it's just interesting to see how the world is so committed to looking the part and
like a look or something, like a look or a style.
Right.
Brittany, what would you tell people who are looking at you right now going like, wow, I have an idea, I really want to try it? What would you tell them?
I feel like on social media as an entrepreneur, you have to be extremely careful, because all it takes is one person to make a video. The algorithm says, hey, we're going to make this go viral. and you're done. Like, because I've seen that happen to a lot of businesses, from bad customer service to just bad product quality. So I definitely will say, just to make sure, like I mentioned, a community, like build your business around a group of people who know you, who can see the real you. Like me being an influencer and sharing my personal life, sharing day in the lives and what it's like to be an entrepreneur and things like that, helped me to have, again, more authenticity with my business. So people know, like, this line is not something that she's doing just to make money, especially because they know my story. I started out as an influencer before I started my business. So
Right.
it's like that. So I definitely say, like you were saying, make sure that you are extremely authentic, and just make sure that you are presenting just a very genuine personality, and just, you don't want to sound like you just want people to buy it just like that, like you're using your audience or using your followers in order to pay your bills, right? You want to make sure they understand, like for me, I want my followers to make sure they know I care about your hair. I've been where I thought I couldn't grow my hair because as a Black woman, that's what we're told growing up. And now I care about making sure that others know that's not true, and providing products and providing methods and providing tips to help them be able to get where I am. So again, it's just all honestly just about authenticity.
Brittany, do you find different customers buy different things based on the platform that you're on, or how does that work?
Absolutely. There is a difference. So currently we sell on TikTok Shop, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And it's a completely different for each platform. I will say that on TikTok, typically we get more younger people between like 18 to like my age, 24, 25. And then YouTube, especially like with Facebook and Instagram, you typically get people in their like 30s and 40s.
Asia, but there's some people with big names that try products, but they don't really take off.
100%. I mean, I'll be the first to admit that I'm very influenced. Okay. If I'm swiping and I see it and I like it, I'm going to buy it. Okay. So I'm putting that out there. But I noticed that when that happens to me, it's the people that it's the ABC method, I call it, the always be creative, always be consistent, always be clickable. Okay. Because clicks equal coins. So
Right.
yes, the celebrities might put it out there, but if it's not done creatively, if I receive it and it's like inconsistent with what I've been told, or the videos, they're not really following up, there's no meat behind what's being promised here. And if it's not clickable, if I see it and they're taking an hour to introduce themselves and not telling what the product is, I'm just going to keep swiping. So there's definitely an ABC to this whole TikTok social media shopping thing. And I think that we as consumers and them as celebrities and influencers should really adopt that.
Do you think it's going to replace it? I mean, it's already replaced some shopping, but do you think it's going to replace, I'm going to ask all three of you, just regular shopping of going into a store? Marcus, real quick.
I don't know if it will completely obliterate it, but it's certainly eroding it. I mean, you see department stores like Macy's, year over year decline, year over year massive decline, because we can get access to those things in faster ways. So if your retail offering, if your value proposition is just about convenience, then you're going to get out convenience when it comes to the internet, when it comes to places where I already reside.
Where it's going to be like that. Brittany, what about for you in terms of the shopping experience? It saves women trying to go to a store, trying to find these products, right?
I think that online shopping, it's definitely in competition, but I just looking at my niche with the natural hair care lines, like the biggest ones in the market today, they're all in retail. So I do think that it is important to be in person, because also with online shopping, there's a caveat, like with shipping, things get lost and things get damaged, and with returns and things like that. Some things are just easier and more convenient in person that you're never going to get online. But I definitely think that if you're trying to be an entrepreneur, definitely you should be online for sure, because it's definitely making its way.
It's the whole thing. Asia, here to social media shopping, here to stay?
I believe so. I mean, during the pandemic, a lot of people only had social media, and
Right.
they might not have been shopping as heavily on TikTok, but there was still Facebook Marketplace, there was still Amazon. People were just impulse buying or just boredom buying because they were stuck in the house. And now that's become somewhat of a comfort. So now that we're out of the pandemic and can go to stores, people are still preferring to shop online. And a lot of the times, just as Brittany said, a lot of things are in store, but there's a lot of things online that you can't get in store, or that are not in your region, or that are not made in America. You have to have it shipped from somewhere. So I do think that online retail is going to continue just kind of booming and blossoming. And I can't say that stores and malls are going to go away forever. That would just damage my whole childhood, because I was a mall girly. But I do think that social media and online shopping is definitely gaining on what we're used to.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Street Soldiers on social media and shopping. You can watch the show again and share it on our Fox 5 NY YouTube page. Remember, use your mind, it's your best weapon. I'm Lisa Evers. Let's push for peace, love, and justice for all.